So for my case study, I've chosen a girls rugby team. I'm going to take them through a general warm-up where we're going to not only be working on warming up the legs for speed drills, but also some agility drills. So we're going to walk down here at the start, and I'm going to start with a lunge and a twist. So as we lunge, we're going to maintain our balance. All right, the next one is going to be a lateral lunge and walk. And again, you know, think about for rugby, you're not just running in a straight line all the time. You're going to be making you know, lateral movements, and so this is going to warm it up. So perform these lateral lunges. You want to make sure that the knee doesn't wobble in, because the whole idea of speed training is to stiffen up these joints so that there's not any laxity. So it's part of injury prevention. It also makes the motion, the movement more efficient, so you can be faster. The next one is going to be striding knee hugs. And all we're going to do is just work on our front side mechanics. Obviously in a sprint, you have that knee drive, so this is just warming up the hip flexors. Another thing to consider, you know, if you're sitting, you have a little bit of your interior tilt posture, which can tighten up the hamstrings, and that's when a lot of people end up pulling their hamstrings. So one thing to watch for as a coach, are they being too loose? So as they come and pull up, are they using the stance leg? Are they actually trying to pull or posteriorly rotate the hips? So this is something else to watch for. And then as we go back, we're going to perform some high skips. So same front side mechanics, we're just going to speed it up a little bit. And then last, butt kickers. Warm up, activate the hamstrings. All right, so we'd go through that warm up after the general stretching, dynamic stretching. And once you're done with this, we're going to go right into the actual speed and agility drills. All right, the first exercise we're going to go through is the wall drive. And the purpose of this, obviously, if you have an athlete who, as they go to start out, they drive their body upwards too quickly, they're not really going to gain good acceleration. So you really want to keep that that hinge, that angle in the torso. This is good front side mechanics or good posture. So a way to reinforce that as they're driving their legs is just to get in that starting position as if you were going to start out to sprint, touch the wall, and then from there just start driving the knees, and you might be able to get a little more speed into it. So my foot pops out of my shoe. Right, this next drill is going to be a get up and go. Might be referred to a couple other names, but for rugby, you get knocked down a lot and you need to get it back up, and you need to go right into your sprint. So again, this drill is intended to work on your front side mechanics, to work on that good starting posture, and by being low, you need to hit the ground and accelerate right out of it. All right, we're going to work on another drill for starting and accelerating. There are many of these exercises we could do. One would probably require someone putting a harness around me, and again, I'd be in that driving position. Someone could also hold on to me as I lean forward, and then I start to accelerate. But this next exercise I've chosen is heads or tails. It would require a partner, so just pretend that I have a partner. And imagine that we are, my partner's standing here, we're facing each other, and one of us is designated as heads, the other is designated as tails. And all this is really doing is we're listening to a coach's cue to see who is called. And this is going to work on reaction time just as much as it is going to work on starting out and accelerating. So, imagine I'm standing here, coach flips a coin, and I'm heads, he calls heads, and I go right into sprinting. This is just more about being alert, whereas the other drills are a little bit more about the mechanics. This is obviously working on a different element of the sprint. All right, this next one is a single leg hop. What we're working on now, we're gonna move from starting and accelerating into acceleration into maximum speed. But obviously, to get faster, we need to kind of overload the system, and just sprinting is not gonna cut it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna drive off of one leg and just keep driving off of one leg. Probably for beginners, you should only go about 10 meters. Obviously, those who are stronger are going to be able to go longer distances. This is a bit of a coordination challenge, so bear with me, but it's going to be All right, next up is a lateral shuffle to sprint. In rugby, you're not always going to be running in a linear fashion. Imagine you have a row of players, maybe there's a ruck right here, and you're waiting for the scrum half to feed you the ball. So you're going to start to laterally shuffle, and then once you receive the ball, now you go off on a sprint. So this could be done without the ball, and then once you want to increase the challenge, make it more sport specific, then you actually have someone feed you the ball. So it's going to look like this. I'm going to laterally shuffle, and then once I see the cone, another thing to work on for these rugby players, not everything's going to be get ready, go, right? Sometimes they're going to be walking, sometimes they're going to be jogging. So we're just going to do an exercise, a drill that incorporates that. We're going to start to walk, jog, and when we get to this cone, boom. All right, this last drill for acceleration is going to incorporate kind of a rugby specific move. Imagine a person with a ball is running straight ahead and they have several defenders. They're going to try to evade, and so they're going to take this more curved or rounded path. And speed, yes, is about covering a certain distance in a short amount of time, but velocity is speed in a certain direction. In this case, if I'm forced to go in a curved fashion, I still want to be able to achieve my top speed, but if I'm having to arc around, I need to work on that pattern. So I'm going to start down here, and as soon as I meet this cone, I'm going to sprint around, and I'm going to try to angle my body to keep the center of gravity in the middle so that I can still propel myself around. After our general warm-up and working on drills that improve our starting posture, and these last several drills that we've gone over works on acceleration and reaching our maximum speed, we also have to add one more component in speed training, as well as agility, and that is the ability to decelerate. In agility, instead of in a sprint where this leg represents the stance leg and then we push off, in agility we have to stop and pivot, and the shorter amount of time that it takes to pivot, the stronger the movement, whereas the longer our foot remains on the ground, the slower the movement. So what we need to work on here is the muscles that are involved in the stretch shortening cycle. Say that 5 times fast. So what we're going to do is a depth jump, and I'm going to take you first. If my camera girl can come forward, you can see me. I'm going to just drop and stay tall. As a reminder, this is not where we want to be because we haven't really absorbed the shock of the ground force. Another position not to really hit in this drill is to come into a deep squat. Yes, we've now absorbed the shock, but this isn't really what someone in rugby is always going to find themselves in a position. They're not always going to be down here in the squat, but they may have to jump for a ball, they may land and have to cut, and normally they're going to hit this intermediate range. So I don't want my hips to be so high, and I definitely don't want them to be low. I want to drop, and then once I achieve that intermediate depth, I'm going to explode. So again, one more time, I'm not going to jump off the box. I'm just going to drop, absorb, and jump as high as I can. And our last drill is going to work more on agility. We can do lateral bounding or zigzag bounding, and this could be kind of a simulation in rugby where you're evading defenders, but this is going to work on our ability again to absorb the ground force, pivot, and make a zigzag motion. So it's going to look like this.